Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. Grab your coffee or your leftover heartbreak and sit down, because this one starts at 3:12 a.m. with a car engine that wasn't supposed to be there. I remember the headlights sweeping across the ceiling like ghosts. I was on the floor of the guest room, not sleeping, not crying, just listening. The engine purred too long to be a taxi, too quiet to be her friend's rust bucket Honda. Then the slam of the car door. Heels clicking. Laughter. 2 sets of feet. I didn't move. She didn't expect me to be awake. She didn't even expect me to be home. Technically, I wasn't supposed to be. I told her I'd be at the lake house, fixing the deck. I even left on purpose. For one reason, to see if she'd do exactly this. And she did. I heard the key fumbling in the lock. Her hushed giggle as she whispered, "Shoo, he's not here." Then a man's voice, cocky, like he owned the place already. "So, this is the house." Our house. I didn't storm down the stairs. I didn't confront them. Instead, I slipped out through the laundry room, grabbed the duffel I'd packed days earlier, and walked across the lawn to my rental parked by the neighbor's fence. And that's when I made the call. A quiet little call to a number I'd saved under the name Jeremy Lawn Care. It wasn't Jeremy. It was the dealership. I gave them the go-ahead to deliver it early. Right to the driveway. Her driveway. The one she always made me park behind because it was closer to the front door. The car? A jet black Bentley with windows darker than her secrets. She laughed at my warning just a week earlier, when I looked her in the eyes and said, "If you keep running around with him, I'm gone." She didn't even argue. She just laughed. And later that night, posted a photo wrapped in his arms, smiling like a teenager who'd just gotten away with skipping class. But now, she was about to come back from her little weekend trip. She didn't know I'd seen the photo. She didn't know I'd heard the whispering. She didn't know what that Bentley really meant. But when she saw it parked in her spot and realized who it belonged to, she went pale. Previously, I warned her, if she brought him around again, I'd vanish. She laughed, posted a photo with him, and left. But when she returned and saw the Bentley parked in her spot, her face turned ghost white. She didn't see me. She thought I was still upstate. Probably imagined I was drinking cheap beer with old fishing buddies, clueless as ever. But I was there, just 2 houses down, behind the blinds of Mrs. Ellison's spare bedroom. The same sweet lady who used to bring us lemon bars before Marlene told her to stop hovering. I watched through a slit in the curtain as Marlene pulled into the driveway, her little silver SUV crawling to a halt behind the Bentley. She stayed in the car longer than I expected. Maybe she was reading the license plate again. "He warned you." Or maybe she was texting him, Jace, asking if this was some kind of prank. She didn't know yet that I was serious, that I hadn't just left a dramatic quote and a shiny car. I had changed everything. She finally stepped out, phone still in hand, eyebrows scrunched into something between fear and confusion. Her bag fell off her shoulder when she noticed the envelope under the Bentley's windshield wiper. A cream card, no stamp, sealed with a blank wax seal. She didn't open it. Not yet. She walked slowly to the door. The front lock had been changed. She tried her key. Nothing. Tried again, jiggled the knob like it might change its mind. Then she rang the bell. No answer. She rang again. Knocked. Called my name. I didn't answer. She pulled out her phone, pacing now, probably realizing that the utilities had been switched. The Wi-Fi cut. The security code changed. The shared bank accounts closed. I had been methodical, not spiteful. Just silent. I watched her pace, watched her kneel, and finally opened the envelope. It held no letter. Just one printed screenshot, her photo with Jace. The same one she'd posted. Below it, I'd written one sentence. "You burned the bridge while I was still crossing it." She looked up from the paper, not angry, not smug, just small. It was the first time in our entire marriage that I saw Marlene look unsure of herself. And it wasn't over yet. Marlene stood in the driveway for a long time, just holding that piece of paper like it was made of glass. The Bentley gleamed behind her, its deep black paint reflecting the very life she used to call her own. She looked at the house again, at the windows that once framed her Sunday mornings, the porch where we carved pumpkins, the door that no longer opened for her. She finally walked back to her car and sat inside. She didn't drive off. Instead, she lowered her head and leaned against the steering wheel. I couldn't see her face from where I was watching, but I didn't need to. That silence told me more than any screaming match ever could. She wasn't texting, wasn't calling. just sitting. Maybe it was dawning on her that I wasn't bluffing. That while she spent the last 2 months planning hotel getaways with Jace and reposting quotes about self-liberation, I'd been preparing for exit velocity. I wasn't the doormat she assumed. I'd studied her, quietly, observed her patterns, took notes when she thought I was looking at the TV. She never realized how much a man hears when he stops speaking. But I didn't just disappear for revenge. This wasn't about punishment. It was about control, something I hadn't felt in years. She used to call me predictable. Maybe I was. I always asked if she wanted anything when I ran errands. I always kissed her shoulder before bed. I always said we instead of I. And for that, I became invisible. Not anymore. I had filed the divorce papers 2 days before she posted the photo. Served to her workplace. I made sure they'd arrive on Monday morning, just as she was finishing her back to work after a romantic weekend latte. I'd removed myself from our joint accounts and rerouted every subscription, every autopay, every notification to an email she didn't even know existed. And then there was the storage unit. The one I rented under my late uncle's name. Inside it, everything she thought I left behind. The photos, the keepsakes, even her mother's vintage necklace she accused me of losing 2 years ago. All cataloged, all labeled, all mine now. She gave me freedom wrapped in betrayal. She just didn't know how well I'd wear it. By Tuesday morning, Marlene still hadn't called. Not once. But I knew what she was doing. She was circling that stage between denial and damage control, where someone convinces themselves that if they just stay calm, they can reverse the spiral. I wasn't watching from the shadows anymore. I was already 3 steps ahead. I had a new number, a new account, a new routine. She didn't know it yet, but she was chasing a version of me that no longer existed. Still, I had to be sure. So I left one final breadcrumb, a message, just 10 words, sent from a burner account she used to ignore. You never noticed the exit sign. You were too busy laughing. She saw it, read it, then, minutes later, blocked it. That told me everything I needed to know. She hadn't changed. She was just cornered. The Bentley? Still in the driveway. I didn't take it with me. That wasn't the point. It was a placeholder, a monument, a mirror for her to stare into every morning. She had told Jace, the great poet of convenience, that she was free now. I wondered if he was still texting her poems after she told him about the house, about the lock, about the envelope. Somehow I doubted it. Later that evening, my old coworker Jasper, who I never considered a friend, sent me a screenshot. Marlene had posted something new. A close-up photo of a half-drunk wine glass, captioned, "You never know who people really are until they leave." Classic, painting herself as the abandoned one. As if she hadn't slipped out of our life months before I ever packed a bag. As if the moment she pressed upload on that photo with Jace, she wasn't pushing a dagger between everything we'd built. But what struck me most was what she didn't post. No apology. No, I messed up. No accountability. Just wine. Just a curated, wounded woman with a fragile glass look in her eyes. Playing the victim to an audience who didn't know what had really happened when the front door wouldn't open. I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel sad anymore. I felt something far stranger, peace. And that scared me. Because peace, when it finally arrives, always brings something else with it, the truth. The strangest part wasn't how quickly she went from silence to storytelling. It was how skillfully she rewrote the narrative. Within 48 hours of returning to a locked house in a luxury car she didn't understand, Marlene had turned her betrayal into performance art. Her Instagram, which she once kept modest and private, had exploded with cryptic quotes and filtered sunsets. Healing is not linear. Some people disappear so you can find yourself. I loved him hard, but he loved me quiet. Quiet. No, I loved her blind. There's a difference. I didn't react publicly. That would have ruined everything. Let her think she controlled the story. I was playing a different game now. My attorney told me not to engage, but that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was seeing how many people believed her. Co-workers. Friends. Even her sister shared one of the posts with a comment. She's the strongest woman I know. Strong? She wasn't strong. She was slippery. Strategic. And now desperate. You see, what Marlene didn't know, not yet, was that I hadn't just walked away. I'd left doors open. One in particular, the company retreat. We worked at the same firm. Different departments, same umbrella. And before all this went down, we had both RSVP'd to the corporate offsite. a required weekend of fake team building and wine-fueled workshops. I never canceled. Neither did she. And that's where the next move would unfold. I didn't plan it out of spite. I didn't even know what I hoped to accomplish. Maybe I just needed her to see me, to realize the man she thought was disposable had learned how to vanish with precision, not bitterness, just intention. So when I walked into the retreat lobby that Friday, wearing a navy blazer she once said made me look like a teacher trying too hard, I didn't look around for her. I let her find me. And she did. She was mid-conversation with two marketing execs when she froze. Her laugh died in her throat. Her wine glass tilted slightly in her hand. I didn't say a word. Just gave her the same smile she used to give me when she came home late and blamed traffic. And then I walked right past her, like she was nobody. The moment I passed her in that hotel lobby, something shifted. I didn't turn around. I didn't check if she followed me. But I felt it. The weight of her silence pressing against my back like an old coat I thought I'd thrown away for good. The elevator doors opened, and I disappeared inside, just as I had promised her weeks before. Later that night, the retreat's welcome dinner began. Round tables, candlelight, polished conversations about leadership and synergy and everything else corporate people pretend to care about. I sat with the finance team. They didn't know anything. Not yet. I smiled, nodded, laughed when appropriate. And then, I felt it again, her. Marlene walked in wearing a deep red dress I hadn't seen before. Her hair was styled like she hadn't slept in 2 days, because she probably hadn't. She scanned the room like a soldier trying to identify threats. Her gaze landed on me, lingered, and quickly shifted away. She took a seat 2 tables over, surrounded by people who probably still believed the version of events she'd been broadcasting online. Midway through dinner, I stepped out to the patio. The air was colder than expected. I hadn't brought a jacket. That's when I heard her behind me. "You really came," she said. Her voice wasn't confident this time. It was searching. "I was always coming," I replied. "You just stopped seeing me." She stepped beside me, arms crossed, pretending she wasn't freezing. "You embarrassed me. The car, the house, blocking me from everything like I was some stranger." "You are a stranger," I said, and meant it. She didn't respond right away. Just stared out at the parking lot where her car sat alone. "You didn't even ask why." I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "I did." "You laughed." And that shut her down. There was no apology, no begging, just silence. And for once, she had no script. She turned and walked back inside, heels clicking softer than before. Maybe because she knew the show was over. But what she didn't know was that someone else had been watching us, listening. And he was about to become the last surprise she ever expected. I didn't notice him at first. The man standing just past the patio doors, half hidden behind the tall glass partition. But when Marlene walked away, I caught the flicker of movement, a shift in posture, a slow blink, the kind of look someone wears when a puzzle just clicks together. His name was Will Porter, head of strategy, always polite, always neutral. He'd spoken to both of us over the years, casually. He wasn't a friend. But he wasn't stupid either. I expected him to pretend he hadn't heard anything. That's what most people do in moments like that. They look away, they spare you. But not Will. As I re-entered the dining room, he stopped me at the corner near the coat rack and said, low and careful, "That was one hell of a conversation." I froze. He didn't smirk, didn't look amused. He just added, "You handled it better than most would've." Then he turned and walked away. Nothing else happened that night. No confrontation, no second act. But the next morning, the air at breakfast felt different. Lighter, colder too. Whispers moved between tables like wind through tall grass. Marlene sat alone at the far end, eyes locked to her phone, scrolling with hollow focus. Her wineglass confidence from the night before was gone, replaced by something more brittle. That's when I saw it. Someone had taken a photo of our brief patio encounter. A distant, grainy shot. Just 2 silhouettes under the hotel lights. It wasn't posted publicly, but it had been shared internally. I heard it mentioned during a break. "Did you hear about the guy whose wife cheated and now she's at the same retreat?" Brutal. The story had started unraveling. Not because I exposed it, but because she left it unguarded. By noon, the leadership quietly moved her to a sister site project in a different city. They framed it as a promotion, but I knew better. Reputation is a quiet killer in corporate halls. And for someone who had always clung to her image like it was armor, this was a death blow. But I wasn't done yet. Not out of vengeance. Out of truth. Because the final part of the story wasn't mine to write. It was hers. And the way it would end, she'd never see it coming. 3 weeks passed after the retreat, and I didn't hear from Marlene. Not directly. Not through calls. Not through emails. But silence has its own language, and hers spoke volumes. I watched her social accounts go from performance to absence. No more poetic quotes. No more curated sadness. Just emptiness. Then came the letter. Handwritten. 3 pages. She left it at the front desk of my building. No postage, no return address, just my name on the envelope. I waited 2 full days before opening it. I don't know why. Maybe part of me still expected manipulation. But when I finally read it, I felt something I didn't expect. Closure. She admitted to everything. The affair. The lies. The way she underestimated me. She didn't ask for forgiveness. Not really. She said she didn't deserve it. And for once, I believed she meant it. She wrote, "You gave me more grace than I ever gave you credit for. And I'll carry that weight long after this ends." And that's when I let it go. Not because she apologized, but because I was already free. I had moved into a small place outside the city. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Peaceful. I'd taken a job at a smaller firm where people didn't know me as her husband. I'd picked up painting again, something I hadn't done since college. Turns out, when you stop trying to hold together someone else's world, you finally get to build your own. One quiet Sunday morning, I walked past the Bentley. Still mine. Still in perfect condition. But I didn't need it anymore to feel seen. It had served its purpose. Just like the silence. Just like the exit. This story didn't end with revenge. It ended with recovery. And if you're still reading, I want to ask you something. What moment in this story shocked you the most? Was it the Bentley? The retreat? The letter? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've ever had a turning point of your own, where you finally chose yourself, we'd love to hear about it. You've been watching Reddit Confessions. Subscribe for more stories that make you think twice about who's really holding the pen in your life.